To my people, she is a sacrificial gift. They wish to serve her as food to their god if she comes in a host. To lead my poor, wretched cub to the tree my people desire. Love is different with us. Do you hear us in our song, watchmen? We two that never united, that my people easily tear apart. We are different. Wolf, my wolf, your expectations make me sick. Your infrequent visits tell me that you mourn my heart not at all. Wolf, you are my far-wandering hopes. When it was raining and I tearfully lamenting the pleasure storm that the warrior inflicted, then I was nevertheless also hateful to you and sent you to that island. Now Wolf is on one island and I on another. Secure, enclosed, firm, fast fixed is that island. I am a fen surrounded by a slaughter-cruel troop that wishes to serve her if she comes. Wolf, my wolf, I used to say into your hairy ear, with your 6 breasts lined up against my thorax, soft as a dove against the unstoppable blood-orange onset of morning. Even then, the bones knit themselves into iron in our chests, but there was tenderness. A scientist went missing in her bush plane. Abandoned between sweet colt's foot and horsetail, field notes half written, violence of torn buttons, the plunge, then the rip. Recovered later amidst broadleaf litter, the phytologist's endgame, as sad-ribbed as snow, falling through an ecstasy of wools. A small wireless wand out walking alone. Second language corset, ablative areola amethyst mines, hornets embroidering skin, shaved naked in the wind, mispronounced, left to freeze against unregistered semi-automatic silences, collision with the highway of tears. Hands, nervous horses, thin rib bones of red and a mint, hovers between rooms, packing for a business trip. Outside it's hard, head first. Outside slides voyeur. Think of her, pointed tooth, charged with trespassing. Articulated by the same line. And this is 6 short poems that do that. Now squall, fused cellular, burns sapling desires, blood calls, touch these, outside entropy. Hard ignition, first air, she is set aside unnamed. Symphonies of discrimination, white as blizzard, born into some nutter's paradise of wolves. Just fell as leak from sawdust, insufficiently wired, slicing, flare, what hell to be old and blazing. The shoe is a boat, wades weighted, pace ferocious, show a surface hollowed by wings on windows, an ecology of buildings, proof illegal aliens may form under these knots. The field called. People were bodies, driving roughly over gravel. The people's field throwing the spook, growling to the floor, conjure wetlands and other habits that touch. And I actually, like the contemporary moment of this book, I wrote most of it 3 years ago in July 2010, so a time sort of bracketed by the BP oil spill and the G8, G20 kind of summit weirdness here in Toronto. And so, like, most of the images in the contemporary sections come from that. And actually one of the characters, there are 4 characters in the Old English poem. So there's the wolf or outlaw figure, who's also, in my reading, the lover figure. And then there's the anonymous woman speaking voice. And then there's the love child or lost child, who's the whelp. And then there's this other figure, Ed Wacker, who's the watchman figure. And those 4 characters are insanely contemporary, especially like during that warp time. And one of the images that I thought, like, in Old English poetry apparently also is paratactic. It's a poetry of gaps, and it enjoys the caesura between the half lines of alliterative verse that has, like, basically you learn 5 feet and that's it. And so, and I'm 5 feet tall. Anyways, and so this one is like, I sort of I was like, okay, so toxis, parataxis. So there was like that time when they decided, after they didn't make a contingency plan, like for the oil spill, that they would just like absorb the oil with hair and then like remove that hair like by barge and then like just dump it onto fields, like where, you know, it might like trickle into the, anyways, so toxis, parataxis. We all look cute as sheep, bags full of blind spot, wild creatures stunned and blind spotted, except the wolves. Of pets, blind spot, tractor trailers. People the barbers over, arms, stomachs, pubes, knuckles, ears, weighted by blind spot, planes barely lift, rails moan, roads rutted, beaches covered, on barges piled, in hulls stuffed, fish nets full with sludgy blind spot dumped on fields, on fields, on fields. So this is from the Ed Walker section, the Watchman section. Walk where the pavement gives away its workmen. 12 stories from a scaffold that had previously failed inspection. Outskirts, hook and scrape of hips, patrol, riot police, burning rows of cane. The tin miner's daughter walks where her body has stopped moving, feet making circles in the early morning air. Weird, number, and weird, like with a Y, that's like fate, or basically like the poet in Anglo-Saxon was the Shope, who, like, basically the shaper of language. So kind of like, you know, the Old English Shope and Derrida might get along weirdly well. So weird, number 36893. Was the love child of a fisherman from Batchawana arrested and tossed into the fake caterpillar plague? Was someone hired to watch a security guard pilfer a blue and faint yellow pear folded along the runway? Did 16 die today from a pregnancy-related alibi of thirst? Did her hand revise the map where flesh ends? Did she pace behind the engine nodding? Did she march beyond the helicopter's owl? Just gonna end with one little section from the Whelp section, the love child, lost child. And this one actually is inspired by a Middle English poem, the Pearl poem, Anonymous. Near to the hour of dawn, a stranger, unfamiliar flowers. She might have been named Sylvia, or Buttons, or Applied Computing, Astrolabe. And near to her, the split of daisy bombs, 53 reviews of recent accidents, and a book of hours of detonations at the crossings. A small log with names encumbering just beyond the airstream, planes landing amid various species of poetical replies to pressures. Often I have waited, watching that well, before the spot where my hands spent careful, cold-stirring hours, where I fell upon the flurry flat, for she haunted the spot, my daughter. So small, so smooth her 3 sides were, so round I judged her gems, gay eyes, alas, I lessened her, left her everywhere. So round I judged, so small, so smooth, alas, I lost her there. Progressed to the ground, away from me she got, all of her blood there sprang in space, a sprite in the ground, a bloodied place, my soul, my soil, my body, an insown birth, all hollows and echoes and chokes. Dubbed wren she rest, progressed to the ground, away from me she got, her blood there sprig, so small, so smooth, so round. Words are buttons. Buttons are tempting. Just watch kids reflect a desire for control. That words are still important for the success of a poem, thus materializing the software into hardware, is evidence in the mouse itself. The mouse is a word, button. If there is a mouse in my home, there is a button. If there is also a trap. A button is a trap and also the reverse. Buttons are functions of the operating system. Home, end, search. Touch my screen and tap my buttons. A poem is a screen here. These kinds of daughters can often be seen flourishing as seductive branding. That they are also directly touchable is only an illusion, as if one's finger becomes a mouse, as if one's daughter becomes a button, as if one's daughter is instrumental, as if one's daughter is a computer, as if one's computer is a trap. My daughter is not a function. My daughter is not a black box. My daughter is not programmable. My daughter is not reconfigurable. My words are not trigger happy. My daughter is a poem. A poem is a person. A poem is grievable. A poem is precarious. My daughter will never come home. Oh, mother, my person is lost down the well. Thanks.